We're playing Vintage Paradoxical Outcome with a wizard sub-theme featuring Thundertrap trainer Flame of Anor that wins with 4th Airlingas. Let's go check it out. In front of you is Vintage Paradoxical Outcome, and it actually won the Vintage Challenge this past weekend in the hands of DM4X, and I thought, hey, this looks sweet, let's showcase it on the channel, so that's exactly what we're doing today. It's namesake Paradoxical Outcome, a 3 and a blue, 4 mana total for an instant. You can return non-land, non-token permanents from the battlefield to your hand and draw a card for each card returned this way. So the idea is that you want to bounce your Mox in, like Mox Sapphire or Mana Crypt, etc., and then return those artifacts, draw cards, replay them, and make more mana. Oftentimes, this card is actually mana positive, so it's like a ritual that also draws cards, which is really sweet. In today's video, we have a Wizard sub-theme featuring Thundertrap Trainer and Snapcaster Mage, which enable Flame of Anor. But why would you want to play this card in Vintage? Well, right now, the most popular deck is Mono White Initiative. Flame of Anor kills those large creatures while also drawing cards, so it's a modal removal spell that also is a cantrip. Well, that's pretty sweet. And if you're not facing that deck, Flame of Anor kills Orcish Bowmasters, which is really good against Paradoxical Outcome. So this card is perfect for the strategy. After you've drawn enough cards with Paradoxical Outcome by returning all of your Moxen, you make a ton of mana into 4th Airlingas. So you would like X to be greater than their life total, and then you attack with a bunch of hasty human knight tokens, which is just really, really awesome. So you have a sort of Lord of the Rings sub-theme here between 4th Airlingas and Flame of Anor, which is fun, because you get to play all these broken cards like Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, etc., along with these fun Lord of the Rings cards. Additionally, you are a Lurrus of the Dream Den deck, so you get to return your Mishra's Baubles over and over again for some of that value, but also your wizards. So this deck is really cohesive and super powerful, and I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you enjoy this vintage content. But for now, we're going to head on into match number 1, and I will see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. It's the first match and we're facing a good friend of mine, Jarvis U. I have no idea what Jarvis is playing today, but we're playing the combo cat Lurrus of the Dream Den. I will reveal that. And Jarvis does not. Okay, so I have a turn 1 stock up on the play. We likely keep this. And I'll reveal my Lurrus of the Dream Den. Once again, I have no clue what Jarvis is playing today. Jarvis is probably practicing for the North American Eternal Weekend, if I had to guess. That or Jarvis is just streaming, who knows? Alright, let's go. Jarvis is ready, down to 21 minutes on clock, and hopefully that doesn't bite Jarvis in the butt this match. Alright, Mox Sapphire resolved, we'll fetch. Scalding Tarn. I think we would like to grab Tundra here. Tap for mana and stock up. Jarvis mulliganed. We did not draw Force of Will. I want the Paradoxical Outcome. And then Tolarian Academy? Yeah, let's do those. Alright. No Force of Will, so we're a little bit pants down here. I have to hope that Jarvis is playing a deck that doesn't kill me on turn 1. I know that last year for Eternal Weekend, Jarvis was testing the Azorius Lurrus control deck a lot. I don't know what Jarvis is currently playing. Placed Sink in a Stupor as a land, Mox Emerald, so this could be Jewel Shops. Or it could be the same deck, who knows. Mishra's Bauble, we'll play that. Let's try a Thundertrap Trainer, no Offspring. We'll take Force of Will, play the Tolarian Academy, taps for 3 mana. And I'll just main phase this Paradoxical Outcome. It just resolves! We hit another stock up, that's good. We'll play the Bauble. 3 lands was not ideal, though. We'll play the Thundertrap Trainer again. Black Lotus, don't mind if I do. We'll play that. And I think I'll pass with Sink in a Stupor, Force of Will active. Like, I could stock up right here, but my fear is if I stock up and then I don't hit anything good, and then Jarvis's hand beats one Force of Will. So I guess I'll bobble now. Maybe I'll draw another blue card that I don't have to exile the stock up. And Jarvis just concedes. Okay, so we win game number 1. Probably want the Spell Pierce, the Flusterstorm, Force of Negation. Maybe the Pyroblast. It's a lot of cards coming in. And because we're playing Vintage, I will switch my deck to Pile View. There's just so many cards in Vintage that the Singleton view doesn't really work. Okay, so we probably don't need the Swords to Plowshares. We'll leave in the Flame of Anor, which also, by the way, can be found with Merchant Scroll, which is real nice. I think you can board down a Mishra's Baubles. Maybe I'm wrong about that. That would be 62. It's just a lot of cards to be coming in here. Maybe board down a couple Thundertrap trainers. Like, I'm trying to be the control deck because I think, and I could be wrong, that Jarvis is on Jewel Shops. It's either Jewel Shops or the Mirror Match, but if it was the Mirror Match, why didn't Jarvis reveal a Lurrus? So that makes me think it's Jewel Shops. I'm going to submit this. Reveal our Lurrus of the Dream Den. This hand is clunky. Mulligan. Jarvis kept 7. We'll keep this. Bottom the 4th Aerlingas. Mana Crypt, that resolves. Mox Emerald. Urza's Saga. The One Ring. Unfortunately, that resolves. Jarvis draws up to 4 cards in hand. My best draw here would be another artifact for this Mox Opal. Blooded Strand, not the best. We'll play Mox Jet and Mox Opal. Pass the turn. Mana Crypt. And then the One Ring, so Jarvis is now at 16 life. Saga goes to the second chapter. Draws 2 more cards, up to 7 cards in hand now. Ancient Tomb. So far, this looks like Jewel. Time Vault. Okay. 5 cards in hand for Jarvis. Arn the Great Creator. I'm going to concede. Alright, so that didn't go super well. Maybe we don't want Pyroblast. Maybe Pyroblast is a trap versus Jewel Shops. We'll bring back in the Mishra's Baubles. Yeah, we'll try this. So one thing I did think when building this deck list, putting it together in Magic Online, is the decks that I'm used to playing in Vintage plays so much more interaction. This deck plays like Force of Will and Mental Misstep pre-board, and then that's it. This hand's pretty good, we'll keep. I just felt like it was a little low on interaction because I'm used to playing Doomsday or Beseech the Mirror combo, all these other things, and I just feel like, wow, this deck does not have much interaction in there. Mental Misstep is the draw. And Jarvis has a very good hand. Wow. Okay, so Time Vault, Ancestral Recall plus Force of Negation. We'll play the Chandra, play the Mox Emerald, and Time Walk. And I was right, the fact that it is Jewel Shops. So we'll take our next turn. Mana Crypt. Let's play Brainstorm. Okay. We'll put back 1 land. And then I think the Thundertrap trainer. Play the Misty Rainforest. Fetch. So Jarvis is going to Ancestral Recall in my upkeep. And then has Force of Negation back up. So am I supposed to go grab another counterspell with this Merchant Scroll? I don't know the answer. Like, I could grab a Flusterstorm that then would make Jarvis want to Ancestral Recall on his own turn. And then my Mental Misstep gets it where Force of Negation can't protect it. Yeah, I'll grab the Flusterstorm. It might be wrong, but that's what I'm going to do here. Mox Sapphire. We will Mental Misstep. I go to 15. Jarvis drew Force of Will. I will Force of Negation. What did Jarvis exile? Urkel's Recall. Alright, so we know the 4 remaining cards. Play Sink in a Stupor as a land. I'd like to draw something good here. That was not something good. So I could play Lurrus, or I could Surveil. And I think I'd rather Surveil. Play the Scalding Tarn and pass. Like, I don't think playing the Lurrus out really matters here. Vexing Bauble. A little bit punished for my Mana Crypt. Sure. I mean, I'm at 15, so I didn't want to play out the Mana Crypt and then just, like, die. That was my thought. We'll grab the Meticulous Archive. I can't cast Demonic Tutor. I think that has to go to the graveyard, unfortunately. Force of Will. We'll play the Lurrus of the Dream Den. Pass the turn. Jarvis draws with the Vexing Bauble. Mox Jet. Time Vault. Yep. Force of Negation, Coveted Jewel, and 1 unknown in hand. We draw Black Lotus. We'll play it. I'm going to keep the Mana Crypt in my hand. Maybe I don't need to. I do have the Lurrus attacking, so I'll play it out. It's probably better to have him play. Swing. Okay. Jarvis is going to drop to 4 cards here. Mishra's Workshop, an incredible draw. Coveted Jewel. I will hardcast the Force of Will. Jarvis drew another Force of Will. Wow. Okay. So 3 cards here. Am I dead? I get a turn. Okay. It's going to bounce my Lurrus of the Dream Den because this protects the Coveted Jewel. Sure. We'll say Tails. I win the flip. Draw for turn. Another Force of Will. Okay. We'll play the Lurrus. Replay the Black Lotus. And pass the turn. Hopefully my 1 force is good enough to stop whatever Jarvis drew off the Coveted Jewel. Plays Minamo. And is passing the turn. Am I seeing that correctly? Tails. We win the flip. Let's attack. Swing. I gain control of the Coveted Jewel. Hi-oh! That's what I'm talking about. We'll play Urza's Saga. Triggers. Play Mishra's Bauble. Look at the top card. And now we can replay the Mishra's Bauble. Look at the top card again. And this way I'm going to draw 2 cards at the beginning of Jarvis's upkeep. Alright, the first one is 4th Aerlingas. That should be lethal next turn. I was hoping to draw a blue card. I did not. And Jarvis concedes the match. Okay, well that was pretty sweet. Lurrus Beats was actually relevant. Wow, we got to steal a Coveted Jewel. I don't think I've ever stolen a Coveted Jewel before, so first time for everything. Hopefully you enjoyed match number 1, and maybe we win match number 2 as well. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Round number 2, and we're facing a former sponsor of the Eternal Glory podcast, Jonathan Sparks. I will reveal my Lurrus of the Dream Den. So, funny story about Jonathan Sparks is they came up to me at Eternal Weekend, and I didn't know what they looked like. And they were just like, "Hey, I'm Jonathan." I was like, "Cool, I'm Bryant. Nice to meet you." And then we just like stared at each other. And I think Jonathan thought that I was going to recognize them. But I was just like so burned out by the end of the day that it didn't click in my head. And yeah, it made for a good meme on the podcast. All right, so we've opened up a hand where we can't do a whole lot. Like I could play the Mox Sapphire and then cycle Lorien Revealed. I'm not convinced that this hand is good enough. So I'm going to end up sending it back. They also mulliganed. This one seems fine to me. The question is, do you keep Portable Hole or the Mishra's Bauble? I think I'm going to keep the Mishra's Bauble. Bottom the Portable Hole. Because we're the Lurrus of the Dream Den deck, and I think our opponent is also playing a fair Magic deck. So I expect this to go a little bit longer. And they get to look at my hand here. That's not right. Not a big fan of that. Just doesn't seem very fair to me. Okay. It's great when I'm doing it. Less so when they do it to me. Misty Rainforest. Sure. We'll play Scalding Tarn. Mox Emerald. They search out Tundra. Is my Mox Emerald being countered here? It is. Sure. We'll play the Mishra's Bauble. And I will target myself. Mox Sapphire. I think I would actually like to draw that. So we'll end up just not fetching here. Draw off the Bauble. Underground Sea into Tameo Inquisitive Student. Am I really supposed to respect 1 Brainstorm and 1 Ancestral Recall here? I guess so. Feels bad. Alright, Force of Will was the draw. We'll play Mox Sapphire and Urza's Saga. Let's attempt a Thundertrap Trainer. Mystical Dispute. They have 2 cards in hand. I think I'm supposed to just answer the Tameo here. Grabbing the other Tundra. Or Swords to Plowshares the Tameo. So my Thundertrap Trainer has been countered. I cannot pay for it. Wasteland. So this is just the Esper control deck. Psychic Frog. Yeah. Okay. Can't cast my Flame of Anor. We'll put the Lurrus of the Dream Den to my hand. Pass. Psychic Frog gets in there. Sort of wish I had that Portable Hole now. Psychic Frog draws a card. They're up to 3 in hand. Another Psychic Frog. This is not good for me. Okay, 2 cards in their hand now. Another Force of Will. We'll play the Lurrus of the Dream Den. Play the Mishra's Bauble. They're going to Force of Negation the Mishra's Bauble. Am I supposed to fight here? They have no cards in hand. No, I'm going to let this go. Because next turn I can play the Thundertrap Trainer, and then we have the Mox Emerald underneath. So I have things to do the next few turns. No blocks. So Ancestral Recall this turn between the 2 Psychic Frogs in their draw step. Back to 3 cards in hand. I'm trying to think of like what the best case scenario for me is. And I believe it's that I draw like Black Lotus, because that would allow me to play the Thundertrap Trainer plus Flame of Anor in 1 turn. Demonic Tutor. Sure. I wonder if this is for Swords to Plowshares for the Lurrus or Ancestral Recall. They have 2 cards. What did you search for? Show me. They're not going to show me, okay. It was Ancestral Recall. I'm going to Force of Will, pitching Force of Will here. Misty Rainforest. I'll play the Thundertrap Trainer. If we hit any Mox, I can Flame of Anor with 2 modes. We'll play the Thundertrap Trainer. Trigger. Mana Vault doesn't do it. I mean, we could take it, but it doesn't cast my spell here. Play the Mana Vault. And now we'll swing. Get some life back here. Alright, so now we're up to 18. I could block and then recast the Thundertrap Trainer next turn. Alternatively, our opponent, Jonathan Sparks, could give their Psychic Frogs flying. They give the first one flying, and the second one flying. So after combat, they'll have 4 cards in hand. Triggers. Stony Silence. Yeah, sure. Looted Delta, 2 cards left in their hand. In our upkeep, I will fetch. Grab Volcanic Island. No, draw. Vexing Bauble. So I can play the Mox Emerald. Here's an interesting spot we're in. I could play the Vexing Bauble, and then it's on the table forever. Because of the Stony Silence. But that means my Flame of Anor would likely resolve on the following turn. I say likely because it's not guaranteed, but they couldn't force it well. But it means another turn of Psychic Frog getting in. I think I'm just going to cast it. It's going to feel bad if it gets counterspelled, though. Flame of Anor with 2 modes. Because I'm just like falling behind, and letting them draw extra cards each turn isn't ideal. So I'll draw 2, attempt to kill a Psychic Frog. Well, I guess it's attempt to draw 2 as well. And the last 2 were a forcible blue card. Ah, brutal. Swing. They're at 10, I'm at 18. They can give 1 Psychic Frog flying here, but not both. Which means that if they attack with both, I can block with the Thundertrap Trainer and then recast it. I'm sure I'm going to get some comments about not playing out the Vexing Bauble first. It's just, being buried by card advantage each turn I don't think is the way that you win this game. So I took a chance. The chance didn't work, but I think it was more likely I win the game if that card resolves. And waiting another turn just means more chances for them to draw counter magic. Because we've already seen Mystical Dispute. They could have like Spell Pierces and stuff in there as well. They attack. And they're going to give their Psychic Frog flying. So I cannot block. They drop to 2 cards in hand. Urza's Saga. That's not good for me. Yeah, that's a huge card here. I need to draw something good. They put their own Lurrus to their hand. No, that doesn't help me here. We'll play the Vexing Bauble, and I'll pass. I would love to draw Tolarian Academy. That would be delightful. They search out Meticulous Archive. I'm pretty sure our opponent's in the driver's seat at this point. They surveil away another Psychic Frog. So they can try the Urza Saga beatdown plan. They could also play the Lurrus of the Dream Den. Brainstorm resolves. Swords to Plowshares. That hurts. Okay. And now they can attack with both frogs. I don't think I'm supposed to block here. Our opponent's card quality in this match, definitely higher than mine. Where I was drawing Mana Vault, they were drawing cards that were good in the situation that they were in. Alright, Mana Vault. So I can attempt to outcome for 5 here. We'll fetch, grab the Underground Sea. Maybe I'm supposed to try to tap them out. Like maybe I attack, they go to block with the Construct token, and then I outcome. They do make the Construct. And are you going to block? Okay, they do, and now we'll resolve Paradoxical Outcome. So the question is, do I want to pick up all 5? I think so. Okay. We'll play out artifacts that don't do anything. And we're back to 7 cards in hand. Pass the turn. I really need that portable hole. That is definitely a card I need here. And they make another construct. They search out a Mox Sapphire with the Urza Saga. They play a Mox Pearl. Mishra's Bauble. So these constructs are large. Black Lotus, 1 card left in hand. But they're about to draw 2 more with these Psychic Frogs. This is an attack for 9, so I'm dead on board. Okay. They've used 2 Force of Negations and 1 Force of Will, so the odds are that they probably just drew into another force. Because there's still 3 Force of Will somewhere. We drew the 4th stock up. Not a good hit. So I think the move here is to play Thundertrap Trainer. Because it's a blocker for these large constructs. Thundertrap Trainer. None of those were what we wanted. So I'll take the Lorien Revealed. We have another Volcanic Island. I can cycle the Lorien Revealed for the Volcanic Island and play another Thundertrap Trainer. And hopefully we get to untap. But there's a chance I could be dead. Play the other Thundertrap Trainer. That resolves. So Merchant Scroll could get Sink in a Stupor. And that unlocks all my artifacts. Okay. I'm just like in a spot where I have to pray that my opponent doesn't have anything for every draw step, which doesn't feel particularly good. I have to block the constructs or else I die, so we'll do that. Psychic Frog triggers twice. They're back up to 6 cards in hand. That's a lot of interaction. Or a lot of chances that interaction, I should say. We know that one of those cards is Lurrus of the Dream Den. We know that. Here it is. 4 cards now. Mana Crypt. So I do have Merchant Scroll into Sink into Stupor, but then my stock up has to hit more blue mana in order for me to do anything. Alternatively, I could stock up, but then I'm like I can only hit the portable hole. Or I guess Tolarian Academy. We'll play the Merchant Scroll, grab the Sink into Stupor, and we will attempt to bounce the Stony Silence. Spell Pierce. Alright, that does it. So we lose, and we're off to game number 2. I think we want to board more into a control deck and less like a combo deck. Get rid of 2 Mishra's Bauble. And I think the Vexing Bauble is not particularly great here, so I'm going to sideboard that out. I kind of like Pyroblast against their Psychic Frogs. Maybe the Flusterstorm. Or down a Mox Opal, trying to make their Stony Silence effects less impactful. I think we could probably shave a couple copies of Paradoxical Outcome as well. Get rid of the Demonic Tutor. It's just so tough to cast. Like, we have 1 Underground Sea, and then, like, a couple Moxen. Like, it's a very tough card to cast here. That's 62. You know what? I'll get rid of the Flusterstorm. That might not be appropriate here. And the Lorien Revealed. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure if I sideboarded correctly. There's a real chance that I didn't, but I feel like these games are really about becoming a fair deck, so that's what I'm trying to do in the post-board games, because if you're trying to be the unfair deck, I think you end up just behind too much, and we lost that game because I was unfair. This seems fine. We'll keep Misty Rainforest, we'll fetch, grab the Volcanic Island, Soul Ring, pass the turn. They play a Flooded Strand. Second main phase, they decide to fetch Tundra, Vexing Bauble. That's fine. None of my cards cost 0. Stock up. Tundra, Swords to Plowshares. Pass the turn. Wasteland. Time Walk resolves. You could... Actually, hold on. We could Pyroblast this and then 4th Aralingas, because their own Vexing Bauble makes it so they can't counterspell it. We'll play the Tundra. This might be risky, but I think it's a way that we can win this game. 4th Aralingas for 3. Swing. Now we're the Monarch, and we get to draw an extra card each turn. The downside here is I only have the 1 Tundra with 2 white cards in my hand. They play Underground Sea. Sink into Stupor. We'll go to combat. Swing. We'll play... Play Sink into Stupor as a land. Ouch. Thundertrap Trainer. Resolves. I will take the Brainstorm. Monarch trigger. Snapcaster Mage resolves. And then we'll Swords to Plowshares it. This plays around Spell Pierce, which we saw previously. You might be screaming, Flame of Anor, Flame of Anor. I don't want to lose the Spell Pierce. Our own Snapcaster Mage. And now they get rid of the Vexing Bauble. Mox Pearl. Mox Sapphire. Stony Silence. Sure. I don't want to play into Orcish Bowmasters, so I'm not going to Brainstorm. We'll attack for 7 here. Swords to Plowshares on the Thundertrap Trainer. That's fine. They're at 3. I will get Gitaxian Probe. Force of Negation, Consign to Memory. Lurrus of the Dream Den. Oh, the Lurrus, they only had 2 cards in hand. So the Lurrus, it was revealed for the companion. Brainstorm. They Force of Negation, that's fine. We'll pass the turn. Sweet, we win game number 2. Love it. I wonder if it's crazy to want the Spell Pierce over Merchant Scroll. I'm like pretty much a control deck at this point, but it's just a question that I am asking. Or board out the Mana Vault, but maybe that's crazy when you're leaving in 2 copies of Paradoxical Outcome. You know what? I am going to take out the Mana Vault. We'll bring in Spell Pierce. Let's go. We still have 4 Thundertrap Trainer, 2 Portable Hull, and 10 other artifacts, so that's 16 things that can be returned by Paradoxical Outcome. I think that's acceptable. Reveal the Lurrus of the Dream Den. Okay. I believe we keep this. Flooded Strand. Black Lotus. Scary Start. Mox Pearl. They have 4 cards in their hand. Play the Volcanic Island. Play Mox Jet. And I'll pass. They fetch with Flooded Strand. Meticulous Archive. And they kept the card on top. Wasteland. That hurts. Okay. So while our opponent is deep in the tank, you might be thinking, Bryant, why did you play out Volcanic Island last turn when it could be destroyed by Wasteland? If I had to Pyroblast, I didn't want to have to fetch out the other Volcanic Island and not be able to cast Portable Hull. Obviously, I was punished a little bit here, but that was my thought process. So it turns out our opponent was not deep in the tank, and the fact is they actually just disconnected from Magic Online. Maybe internet connection issues, I'm not sure, but they're about to time out and we will win match number 2. Not the way that I wanted to win this match, but you know, I can't control what happens on our opponent's side. So we are now 2-0 and I will see you in the 3rd match. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Whoops. So we started match number 3. My apologies. I muted during the tail end of the last match due to our opponent being disconnected. Forgot to unmute. So here we are. We're in the 2nd turn of match number 3. And they went turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. I played first turn Meticulous Archive, Surveil the Way, the Polluted Delta. They played Mox Emerald into Gitaxian Probe, and now a 2nd turn Collector. Oof. I'm going to allow this to resolve because we have the Portable Hull, and they do not attack with the Deathrite Shaman. We'll play Portable Hull. They remove the Polluted Delta. They make a blue. Spell Pierce. I think I'm supposed to Force of Will. They have 3 cards remaining in their hand. Portable Hull. Exile the Collector Oof. Play Mishra's Bauble. Play Mox Opal, play the Vexing Bauble, and now I can play Tolarian Academy, pick up the Lurrus, and bauble them. Their top card is Polluted Delta. Pass the turn. We draw Mox Emerald. They play the Polluted Delta, 3 cards still in their hand. Another Collector Oof. Okay. Now they fetch with the Polluted Delta, use the Deathrite Shaman. A 3rd Collector Oof, my apologies. Okay, so they have a lot of Collector Oofs. We'll fetch, grab Tundra, play the Lurrus of the Dream Den, and then Time Walk. I can't play my own Bauble. Oh, I mean, I could play it. It's just countered by the Vexing Bauble. I'll show you here. And then we'll go to our next turn. That was a good draw. So, no, I'm 1 mana short. I cannot Offspring it. I guess I might as well just tap the Tolarian Academy then. Thundertrap Trainer. Hits stock up. That's pretty good. Play the stock up. Take another stock up and sink in a stupor. Pass the turn. So now if they attack, I can block and play Thundertrap Trainer again on the following turn. I guess they could activate the Deathray Shaman and exile the Thundertrap Trainer. I think I'll take 4. The Thundertrap Trainer might have more value on the table. They put their Lurrus to their hand. Force of Will. Let's play the stock up. Swords to Plowshares and Flame of Anor. I don't have red mana right now is my only concern. I could take another stock up. Yeah, we'll take the other stock up. And I think I'll just pass here. They play a Skimmer. So this will draw a card when they use the Deathrite Shaman. I think that's fine. I'll block 1. Question is if I want to Swords to Plowshares the other. Like, I don't want this game to come down to me losing to Deathrite Shaman. So I think I will. And the way that they tapped, they can't exile the Thundertrap Trainer unless they're holding a land in their hand. Fatal Push. That's a bummer. Yeah, we lose the Lurrus. Okay. That's not good for us. And now they'll draw using the Skimmer. They have 2 cards in hand, one of which is Lurrus of the Dream Den. Paradoxical Outcome. I don't think I want to play that here. We'll play stock up. Take the land and Thundertrap Trainer. Play the land. This allows me to sink in a stupor on their end step. We'll take 4. I go to 10. Psychic Frog. Sure. And a Deathrite Shaman. So we know that their last card in hand is the Lurrus of the Dream Den. Oh, they use the Psychic Frog to trigger the Skimmer. That's cool. So they have 1 unknown in their hand at the moment. We'll grab Volcanic Island and bounce the Collector Roof. Still on the end step, we'll sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. So this way I can play the Mox Emerald. Demonic Tutor. So we'll play the Mox Emerald. Now the Mox Opal is active, and I can cast Demonic Tutor. We'll do that. Go grab Mana Crypt. Play the Mana Crypt. Tap the Tundra for a blue. We'll play Thundertrap Trainer. Currently, Tolarian Academy taps for 4. We'll take the Mishra's Bauble. Now it taps for 5. Paradoxical Outcome will leave the Portable Hole on the battlefield. I could have bounced the Portable Hole and then played it again, but I didn't want to tie up my blue mana. And it looks like we've got this. We'll play the Mox Opal. Tap for blue. Play another Mox Opal. And now we can play the Thundertrap Trainer. Grab the 4th Aralingas. Tap for blue. Paradoxical Outcome again. Draw a whole bunch of cards. Mox Pearl. Mox Ruby. Mana Crypt. Mox Emerald. We'll play the Mox Opal once again. Play the Mishra's Bauble. Tap the Mox Emerald for Mana Vault. Tap for blue. I guess I can play the Thundertrap Trainer again. Grab Mox Sapphire. Play it. Paradoxical Outcome. See, this deck storms. 23, 24. It's a storm deck. You can't tell me otherwise. We drew Black Lotus. And now we just play the rest of our artifacts into a giant multicolored fireball called 4th Aralingas. Play the Mishra's Bauble. We'll play the Mana Vault. We'll play our land because I guess I can. 4th Aralingas, where X is going to be a lot. I love the side scroll that Magic Online is doing. I have so many permanents that it doesn't want to stack them. They'll all be in one line instead. 13 2/2s. We'll go to combat. Swing. I guess I should have used the Black Lotus because this was actually a little closer than I expected. So they can triple block here and then gain 2 life, but it's still exactly lethal. I mean, lethal is still lethal, but I should have put some more mana into it, I guess is what I'm saying here. They discard Force of Will, sure. And now they'll gain 2, so that puts them up to 20, but it's still lethal. Sweet. We likely want all of our Swords to Plowshares versus the Collector Oof strategy. They're bringing in Force of Vigor, so I don't know if I love Portable Hole. I do like Prismatic Ending, though. So I think we'll take out the Portable Hole. I mean, it's a feels bad, but I'm going to board out the Demonic Tutor. I just think it's too tough to cast in this deck. Like, you have... Like, they're going after your mana with Collector Oofs and everything else, and you have 1 Underground Sea. Like, it's just not very reliable. We'll shave a Mishra's Bauble. And the Lorien revealed. I think I'd rather have the second Mox Opal than the Lorien revealed. I could be wrong. Game number 2 on the draw. This seems fine enough. Like, having lands in your hand is not bad versus the Wasteland Strip Mine, like, Force of Vigor deck. They play Misty Rainforest, Tropical Island, Deathrite Shaman. You got it. We'll play Meticulous Archive. Don't think I'm allowed to surveil that one away, so I will keep it on top. That's the punish. I did not keep a hand with Force of Will. Mox Sapphire. They play Underground Sea. Play the Tundra. Let's just Prismatic Ending the Deathrite Shaman, because that leaves the ability to Snapcaster Mage it back later, where if I have the Prismatic Ending in the graveyard, they could then exile it and the Snapcaster Mage does nothing. So, brutal punish for not playing out the Mox Emerald. I was not expecting Spell Pierce. You know what? It's going to seem crazy. I'm going to concede here. This isn't a shame concede based on the Mox Emerald. I'm at 14 minutes, and my hand is not good enough to come back from Ancestral Recall. So I'm going to save myself the round clock. I understand that I lost that game. So instead, I am going to just try to focus on winning game number 3 with enough time where I don't have to rush myself. Because we took 10 minutes in game number 1, and if this game is more interactive, I don't want to time out. I think we keep this. We'll play Mishra's Bauble. Look at their top card. Collector Roof. Okay. Play the Meticulous Archive. Get rid of Snapcaster Mage. I'll play out the Mox Sapphire. Pass the turn. Draw off the Bauble. The red source for Flame of Anor is not bad. So they have turn 1 Collector Roof here. They fetch. Yeah, you got it. We do have 4 Swords to Plowshares in our deck as well. Play Tundra, pass the turn. They swing. I go to 18. They play Underground Sea. Psychic Frog, yeah. Probe was a good draw. We'll cast it. I go to 16. Force of Vigor, another Collector. Oh, no, that's the Collector Roof I revealed earlier. So Force of Vigor, Spell Pierce. I think I'm supposed to just Flame of Anor now. Kill the Collector Roof. And we'll pass. So they draw a card off Psychic Frog. So they have 2 unknowns in their hand from the Psychic Frog and their draw step. They play Polluted Delta, so now we know one of them. They play the Deathrite Shaman. So now we know both unknowns. They have Spell Pierce, Hedge Maze, Force of Vigor in their hand. Force of Will. Okay. I'll fetch. Grab another Volcanic. We'll play the Thundertrap Trainer. Take a stock up. And I think we pass, because if they try to fetch Surveil on the end step, I can Flame of Anor. And if they don't, I can just cast it in their upkeep. So I was hoping that they tried to Surveil. They didn't. So we'll cast Flame of Anor with 2 modes. I'll draw 2, and we'll kill the Psychic Frog. They can Spell Pierce, but I have Force of Will. So now I will Force of Will the Spell Pierce, exiling stock up. Underground Sea, Force of Will. Okay. They fetch with the Polluted Delta. They give their Psychic Frog flying, so now I can't block. They swing, so they'll get to draw a card here, so they're back to having 2 unknown cards in their hand. They play the Hedge Maze, kept a card on top. So next turn I could put Lurrus to hand, and then play Lurrus, play Bauble, or I can stock up. They drew a Skimmer, sure. Ancestral Recall, well that is a good one. Let's cast it. Prismatic Ending, okay. Exile the Psychic Frog, play the Mana Crypt, and now we'll play stock up into double swords. Okay. I was wondering where all my swords were. Exile the Skimmer, and we'll pass the turn. They could Force of Vigor my Mana Crypt, but I'd be okay with that. Like, that is a concern of mine here, is that I end up dying to the Mana Crypt. So they use the Deathrite Shaman, I go to 9. They have 3 cards in hand. Tails. We win the flip. I will put Lurrus to my hand. Play Tolarian Academy. Tap it. We'll play the Lurrus of the Dream Den. They Force of Will, pitching Mental Misstep. I will Force of Will back. I'm at 8. So we know that their last card in hand is Force of Vigor. They didn't exile the Snapcaster Mage. But if I play the Snapcaster, they can just exile whatever I was going to cast with it, so we'll play the Mishra's Bauble. Bobble them. Dig through time? Oh, that's devastating. Okay. Pass. They exile the Flame of Anor. I draw another Swords to Plowshares. Upkeep Mana Crypt trigger. Tails. We lose the flip, I'm at 3. Swords to Plowshares on the Deathray Shaman. They could tap all 5 lands and then cast Dig Through Time in response. They exile Prismatic Ending. That's fine. So they cannot cast Dig Through Time here. We'll go to combat. Swing. Play the Soul Ring. They could force a Vigor in response. They don't. We'll play Snapcaster Mage. And I'll target Stock Up. I think Stock Up is actually better than Ancestral Recall in this spot. We'll play Stock Up. Paradoxical Outcome. Merchant Scroll. We'll Paradoxical Outcome for 5. Once again, they cannot play the Dig Through Time. It costs 8. They only have 3 cards in the graveyard. They could force a Vigor. That is a possibility, but I'll still draw 3 cards. And they do force a Vigor, that's fine. I just need this Mana Crypt off the table. We'll play the Mox Jet. Play the Thundertrap Trainer. Time Walk. No, let's take the Black Lotus. We'll play Black Lotus. And Thundertrap Trainer again. Trigger. Take another Paradoxical Outcome. And then I'll Merchant Scroll for Force of Will. Pass the turn. No chance that I die now. They drew a land, and we know that their last card in hand is Dig Through Time. They put Lurrus to hand. Sure. You got it. Swords to Plowshares on your Lurrus of the Dream Den. Play the Black Lotus. We'll attack for 5. Pass the turn. End step, tap the Tolarian Academy. We'll play Snapcaster Mage. Ancestral Recall. Target myself. And they concede the match. Nice. So we're now 3-0. Not bad. Maybe we'll get another trophy. I did trophy yesterday playing Legacy. Let's see if we can make it happen today in Vintage. I'll see you in match number 4. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The 4th match, we're facing someone that in the past, and I mean, I used to play a lot of Vintage a handful of years ago, would always play like big blue mana drain decks. I don't know what they're playing these days, but this hand seems fine enough to me. We'll keep. Alright, we'll play Mox Pearl, Vexing Bobble, Mental Misstep, that's not cool. We'll play the Tundra, pass the turn. Mox Ruby, Soul Ring, okay. Tundra, Time Twister. I wish I would have played out the Tolarian Academy, but yeah, I'm going to let this resolve. Well, that's a hand. I wish I had a piece of counter magic in it. Another land. We'll play Urza Saga, Mana Vault, Mox Sapphire, Black Lotus. We'll put the Lurrus of the Dream Den to our hand. We'll play it. They're thinking about it. They force will exiling Jace the Mind Sculptor. Okay. Pass the turn. Since he's Divining Top, Tolarian Academy, and now they are going to Paradoxical Outcome, it looks like. Yeah, unfortunate. My new hand had Outcome with a bunch of mana, but not enough to really do anything meaningful. So I feel like we just got buried by that Paradoxical Outcome, and I'm probably not winning this now. They play Ponder. A lot of weird inclusions in this deck. Jace the Mind Sculptor, Time Twister, Ponder. Not things you typically see. And now they know my hand is garbage because of Gitaxian Probe. They replay these since he's Divining Top. Okay, so they ended up passing the turn. I will not untap the Mana Vault. Brainstorm. Honestly, a very good draw here. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. We'll play Brainstorm. Just an incredible draw. They tap for 4 mana. The opponent plays Ancestral Recall in response. I could try to Paradoxical Outcome, but I get blown out of the water by a Flusterstorm here. Okay. Paradoxical Outcome. Yep. I'm going to concede. I read that, but like I didn't have a choice. So, oh well. That hurt. So, we want the Pyroblasts. Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, Force of Negation. I think what we don't want is the creature control, so we'll get rid of Portable Hole, Prismatic Ending, maybe the Flame of Anor's. That's 62. Get rid of the Lorien Revealed, and a Mishra's Bauble. Submit. We'll keep in the Demonic Tutor. We'll see if it ends up being good. I'm just like not a believer in that card in this deck. Reveal our Lurrus. Turn 1 Demonic... Actually, it's turn 1 Stock Up. That's what I should do. Okay, we'll keep. Flooded Strand, we'll fetch, go grab the Underground Sea, play the Mana Crypt, stock up. They Force of Negation. I'm going to Force of Will. And they Force of Will. Okay. We will all pass the turn. They have 4 cards in hand. Flooded Strand, Manifold Key. They have 2 cards remaining. So I can Demonic Tutor for Ancestral Recall. I lose the flip on the Mana Crypt. Play the Demonic Tutor. I believe Ancestral Recall is the best thing I have here. We'll grab it. Play the Tolarian Academy. Ancestral Recall, floating a colorless. Pass the turn. They have 3 cards. Next turn I could Snapcaster Mage Ancestral Recall with Pyroblast backup. There's a Saga. Mana Crypt. We win the flip this time. Thundertrap Trainer. I think I'm not going to play into Pyroblast here. Let's play the Thundertrap Trainer. It triggers. Could take the Time Walk. Or I could just take the Mox Pearl and then Paradoxical Outcome. I'm going to take the Flusterstorm, I think. Pass the turn. So with the Flusterstorm, I could even beat a Pyroblast on the Snapcaster Ancestral Recall line. Urza Saga goes to the second chapter. They play a 3rd land. Mox Ruby. Mana Crypt. Tails. We win the flip. Mox Sapphire, a good draw. Snapcaster Mage. They have 1 card in their hand. Target the Ancestral Recall. Target myself. And that just resolved. Tap the Tolarian Academy. Play Sink into Stupor as a land. Ouch. Paradoxical Outcome for 4. And they concede. Nice. Okay, off to game 3. No changes on my end. Let's resubmit. Demonic Tutor was good, I have to admit. But it was good because we open-handed it and we knew to fetch for black mana. So a little bit different, but, you know, still fine. Wow, what a hand. We keep these. Polluted Delta for a Tundra. Vexing Bauble. Sure. 4th Aerlingas. Play my Vexing Bauble. Pass the turn. I don't want an Ancestral Recall without backup. And if I play it now, I have to discard. So I don't really want to do that. They play Scalding Tarn for a Volcanic Island. Pyroblast. We will pass the turn. Underground Sea, okay. I will fetch, and I think I'm going to grab my Surveil land here. Meticulous Archive. The Mox Jet can go to the graveyard. Don't need that. Time Walk. I think that would be a mistake to cast. Because if they have any counter magic, they can untap and slam something that beats me, because I can't Force a Will with Vexing Bauble in play. They're just making their land drop, so it's a little awkward. Now I can play the Time Walk. We'll see if I can draw another land. We do. Perfect. Pass the turn. They hit their land. Okay. I'm good to just keep on playing Draw Go. We have to pay mana for this Gitaxian Probe, or else it's countered by the Vexing Baubles. Their hand is not very good. Alright, so now I know what they're up to. In their upkeep, let's Ancestral Recall. And it resolves. They play the Strip Mine. End step, I'm going to sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. We find Demonic Tutor. Grab another Tundra. Go to my turn. Black Lotus. Play the Mana Vault. I believe I boarded out every answer. Oh no, I left in Sink into Stupor, so I could Sink into Stupor the Vexing Bauble. We'll play the Tolarian Academy. And we will 4th Aerlingas. X is equal to 4. They hardcast Force of Will. I will fetch and Pyroblast, I think. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. This is clearly a Flusterstorm. And I'm going to keep the Pyroblast. Yeah, I shouldn't have fetched. That's a mistake on my part. Because now they can wait. They can Strip Mine me. And then I can't Pyroblast the Dig Through Time on their turn. So that was a mistake. Whoops. I was like, oh, this is blue. I'll use the Pyroblast here. And I should have thought through it for another split second. Because now They should be able to resolve their dig through time if they play correctly. We become the Monarch, pass the turn. So they should script mine Volcanic Island, play dig through time. We'll float red. Yeah, I just punted. That was not me playing well. They play their own Mox Jet into Vexing Bauble. So this is a card that they can exile for the dig through time. Dig through time resolves because I'm bad at Magic. Bummer. I was just a little too hasty. They play a Soul Ring. 4 cards remain in hand. Time Twister. Sure. And I have the 4th Aerlingas back. So we should be able to 4th Aerlingas for lethal if we untap. And I'm guessing that we will, due to the Vexing Bauble in play. They play Urza's Saga. They sacrifice the Vexing Bauble. I won't lie, I didn't realize they still had a land drop, so I spoke a little too soon. Because I was like, oh, they can't even time walk here in my head. But obviously they can. I need them to pass the turn. They use their blue mana to cast Ponder. Since he's Divining Top, and now they're passing the turn. Okay, things are looking good. I'll say no to Mana Vault. We'll take 1 in our draw step. Force of Will is an amazing draw. We'll play the Mox Sapphire. Flooded Strand. We'll fetch. Grab the Volcanic. Let's play Stock Up. I'm just looking for more backup for this 4th Aerlingas. Or if this gets countered, that's fine too. Sure. Oh, I tapped wrong. Because now I can't Pyroblast. My bad. Whoops. Yeah, I punted. Yeah, I gotta slow down. I'm just doing too much, and I realized it like a minute after. So it's really my own fault. And now we go to combat. We win the match. Alright, so not my best play this round, but we still won. I need to just take a split second longer and think through my actions because we're about to play for a trophy. And I would like to back-to-back trophies, so let's go do it. I'll see you in match number 5. The best legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The 5th and final round for the trophy. We're on the play. Let's do it. Reveal our combo cat, Lurrus of the Dream Den. We keep this. So this hand is not very explosive, but you do have Lurien revealed to grab the Underground Sea for Demonic Tutor. And we'll try to make do. I don't know what the opponent's playing. Let's see here. Dredge. Not a very good hand against Dredge, though. And they have an insane keep. Not the matchup I wanted to play for the trophy. They have Grief, Force of Will. Oh my. Bobble them. Noxious Revival. I don't think I'm winning this. This is brutal. They use the Bazaar. Narcomoeba, Serum Powder, Shambling Shell. They Grief Exiling Icarid. I think I want a Force of Will here. I don't want them to see my hand. And then if they Force of Will back, they're low on resources. They play Chalice of the Void for 0, sure. Alright, they have 3 cards. We will cycle the Lorien revealed. Grab the Underground Sea. I don't have any sort of, like, main deck graveyard hate card, unfortunately. There's no Soul Guide Lantern or anything like that. They Force of Will the Demonic Tutor, that's good with me. So they have 1 card in hand. We know that they're about to draw a Noxious Revival. I need them to not... Oh, no, they already had the Dredger. My bad. I was going to say I need them to not hit it, but they drew it for turn. Or drew it off the Bazaar, one of the two. They discard the Noxious Revival, so I don't know their final card. Thundertrap Trainer. I really don't know how we're going to win this. I feel so far behind. We'll play Stock Up. They put Noxious Revival back on top. That makes sense because then they can dredge into it. Swords to Plowshares, Thundertrap Trainer. That could have been better. We'll pass the turn. They dredge, hitting the Narcomoeba. And this triggers the Prized Amalgams. Okay. Not in a great spot. Mox Pearl. Let's play Thundertrap Trainer. I don't know what the move is here. It might just be Time Walk. Pass the turn. They hit double Stinkweed Imp. That wasn't good for me. And now they activate Bazaar. So this will allow them to dredge a lot of their deck. They had a Creeping Chill. This should bring back the Silver Smoke Ghouls. I will Swords to Plowshares on a Prized Amalgam. Noble Ox. I'm at 9. Now all the ghouls come back. Alright. Need to win the post-board games. Tolarian Academy. Does not help me here. Play the Thundertrap Trainer. I guess if I hit Soul Ring, that's a start, and then I could Time Walk, and then next turn stock up. That doesn't do it. Okay. Bummer. So we want Soul Guide Lantern, Nile Spellbomb, Tormod's Crypt. I don't think we want the Portable Hole. 4 Swords to Plowshares. Board out 1 Flame of Anor. We don't have a Needle either. Like, a Needle would be ideal. And I kind of like Flusterstorm and Spell Pierce here. Like, I'm just worried about it losing to the Chalice of the Void again. But we still have Sink in a Stupor. Get rid of this, like, impossible to cast Demonic Tutor. We'll do this. Game 3 on the play. I'm sorry, Game 2 on the play. Lurrus of the Dream Den. Sure. I don't love this, but it's technically acceptable. Like, our hand loses to, like, a Force of Vigor, or Force of Will's pretty good against it, too. They're on a mulligan to 4. They Serum Powdered at 4. They're on a mulligan to 3 now. Gitaxian Probe. Bazaar of Baghdad, Stinkweed Imp. What a 3-card hand. We'll play the Mana Vault, play the Tundra, Paradoxical Outcome, only a draw 2. We'll play the Ruby, play the Vault, pass the turn. Honestly, an insane 3-card hand here. Into Hollow One. Wow, next turn they have the other Bazaar of Baghdad. We're in trouble. No. Force of Will. Let's Merchant Scroll. I think we get Ancestral Recall. Play the Tolarian Academy. Target myself. That was not good. I was really hoping to draw another 0 or one of our artifacts that exiles their graveyard. Outcome for 2. We hit the Soul Guide Lantern. Okay. Play the Soul Guide Lantern, exile the Stinkweed Imp, and they conceded. Whew. We got lucky. We barely beat a mulligan to 3. Alright, on the draw for game 3. Like, a lot of people don't keep in Mental Misstep, but we see that they're on Noxious Revival. So, like, that is sort of why I want it. Also, Cabal Therapy, potentially. I know that, like, a lot of Vintage Dredge decks don't play it, but they might have a couple. Maybe I'm, like, coping too much by wanting to keep Mental Misstep just for Noxious Revival. I'm going to just hit Submit. Like, if I was to switch it, I'd be bringing in something that answers the Chalice of the Void for 0, and I just think, like, I shouldn't be playing around a 1-of. Alright, for the trophy, match 5, game 3, on the draw. This is not good enough. Ugh. They kept 7. I mean, you have Black Lotus, Vexing Bauble. Vexing Bauble's very good against them, but I don't even have a land. So I could Thundertrap Trainer, which doesn't get lands. I could Brainstorm and then Thundertrap Trainer. You know what? We'll keep it. I'm going to regret this decision, but we'll do it. Bazaar of Baghdad. Icarid, Creeping Chill, Bazaar. Okay. Nile Spellbomb. What a draw. We'll play Black Lotus. Let's Brainstorm. Lands. Lands are good. I think I'm supposed to get rid of the Force of Will. Put a land on top. Play the Vexing Bauble. Play Force of Negation. I'll Flusterstorm. They have 3 cards remaining in their hand. Vexing Bauble. Now I'll play the Misty Rainforest. We'll fetch. Grab Tundra. Play the Nile Spellbomb. Pass. They activate the Bazaar of Baghdad. I think I'm supposed to Nile Spellbomb here because they could return the Prized Amalgam. I cannot pay for the draw. Alright, they have 2 cards in their hand. Another Bazaar. Meticulous Archive. We'll play the Tolarian Academy. Thundertrap Trainer. Take the Mox Emerald. Pass the turn. So how I win this game is getting to Lurrus. Wow. They had it all. Is getting to Lurrus and replaying the Nile Spellbomb, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that here. I think I'm dead. Unless I draw, like, Soul Guide Lantern for turn. I'm pretty sure I'm dead here. Triple Narcomoeba. This will bring back the Prized Amalgam. Okay. Draw for turn. They have no hand. So I could fetch for Tundra, put Lurrus to hand. The question is, they're going to dredge the rest of their deck next turn. Is that even good enough? Drawing a land was not good. Like, they're going to be able to dredge the rest of their deck. So, like, why am I still playing towards Lurrus? And I don't think the Vexing Bauble is actually helping me much here. We'll sacrifice the Bauble. Force of Will doesn't do it. Play the Meticulous Archive. Keep the Mox Jet. Play Mox Emerald. Pass the turn. They get to dredge. The question is, am I dead? So they have all of the chills, I believe, still, plus the Icarids. They had another creeping chill, so I have to block. I don't have a choice. So this puts me to 1. And I know that our top card is a Mox Jet, which isn't good enough to win. I mean, I can Paradoxical Outcome for 2, but that's kind of sad. And I can't use my Flooded Strand because I'm at 1. Alright. So we need this Paradoxical Outcome for 2 to just be the nuts, like Time Walk plus another artifact, or Time Walk plus something really good. Well, we hit artifacts, but there's nothing to do with them. Bummer. We did not get the trophy. Dredge got us. Unfortunate. I don't know if I misplayed this. Like, it just seemed like our opponent's draw was better than ours in Game 3. They kept 7 with triple Bazaar of Baghdad. I do think the sideboard is not built for the Dredge matchup. Like, a lot of people, even though they're playing Lurrus of the Dream Den, will have Leyline of the Void in the sideboard, and then you just don't use your Lurrus. This person decided not to do that, and instead they're opting for triple artifact for the Lurrus synergy. I just think the Lurrus synergy is too slow. That's my biggest gripe. Or if you're going to do the Lurrus thing, have some Pithy Needles in your sideboard, because then you can needle the Bazaar, and they don't get to dredge their entire library. So I think there's like a couple different ways you could take it, and we ended up not getting the trophy because we don't have the Pithy Needles, so that's a bummer. But overall, I felt like the deck list was good. If I was to play it again, though, I would not play black. I would cut the Underground Sea and the Demonic Tutor. I would play just some other card. I understand Demonic Tutor is a broken Magic the Gathering card. It's just really tough to cast unless, like, you know that you have it in your hand and then you can actively search out the Underground Sea, or your mid-combo when you've already drawn a bunch of cards. Like, those are the ideal times to play Demonic Tutor. But if you're just like in the mid game grinding, trying to stay in the game, Demonic Tutor is real bad because you're not going to actively search out Underground Sea if you don't need it, because then you're going to be wastelanded off of black or white or another color. So it's a little awkward. I think I would just find some other card to play. That's my 2 cents. But decklist felt pretty good. I liked the Thundertrap Trainer, Flame of Anor stuff. I would definitely play that again. Let me know what you think of the vintage video in the comment section down below. Hopefully it does well. If the vintage videos continue to do well, I'll keep recording them. But the second that it hurts my stance in the algorithm, it's going to be a long pause again. So tell your friends if you like this video to go watch it. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation-decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.